So how did I get kicked out of the first ever Continentals? Stay tuned and find out. Cue the intro. So I wasn't sure if I should make this video because this kind of hit me in all sorts of emotions. And it was something that I never really paid too much attention to until more and more people brought it up to kind of give me their reaction to what happened during the LCQs. So before I go ahead and tell you what happened during the events, I'm just going to bring it back all the way to Black Friday weekend, and I think that was the original date that they announced tickets were to be on sale for the LCQs, either for competitors or attendees. So it was towards the end of November, Black Friday weekend, one of the busiest days in the year because I work retail and it's just constant flow of customers and all that stuff, and obviously not the best attitude throughout the weekend because people are impatient and they're shopping either in the early mornings or nonstop online. They're just trying to, just make all sorts of complaints or whatever. So it's not necessarily the best weekend in terms of customer satisfaction. And same thing with retail. If you've ever worked retail before, this is the days of the year that you just don't look forward to. So anyways, they announced that they were going to be selling tickets, and I was just really nervous because I wasn't sure if I was going to get it. It was a very rough day. I think it was the Friday of, and we just had a long day. We had a lot of customer complaints. People just had no patience that day. And I had a rough day, and I just wanted to go home and kind of just relax and hang out. And I knew that the signups were pretty much right when I was going to get home. I think it was like around 9 o'clock p.m. or 10 o'clock p.m. And I was hoping for like a win because it was just such a tough day. And luckily, the day turned around when I was able to get the LCQ competitor ticket, and at the same time my wife was able to get the attendee ticket. So that's kind of a very, very lucky spot to be in because the chances of you getting a ticket out of 1,024 competitors was very slim, and yet alone even having your wife, who is going to tag along with you anyways, also get a ticket. So that was amazing. The day turned around. I was super happy for it, and all those customer complaints kind of just went down the drain for at least the night, and it was something to celebrate. Very excited. We've only been to one super competitive event, and that was the DLC Chicago last year, and we had a lot of fun with it. We met a lot of cool people. I didn't do so good. I think I was probably in the 400 out of 1,000 people or something like that placed, and I think my wife was in like the top 200, which was pretty nice to see. But I never got a chance to really compete at a high level outside of just like set champs, which is kind of like a, not really glorified locals, but it's just a little bit more competitive than your typical weeklies. So I had no kind of incentive to really run a lot of meta decks. I was very much into a lot of tier 2, tier 3 decks. I just wanted to have a lot of fun. I didn't want to play what everybody else was playing, and that's kind of like who I am, like in as a player, as a card game player. I don't want to play the best deck around, and I don't want to necessarily net deck the best decks. So I just want to play something that I like and play something fun. But knowing that I was going to go to the first ever Continentals, I felt like I needed to pick a deck and just stick with it. They were also going through Azerite C previews and came across Emerald, and I rarely play Emerald. A lot of my colors was Amber Steel or maybe Ruby Amethyst, stuff like that. I rarely play green, and as soon as they revealed Go-Go, Fred, and I think Goofy, those three cards, I like immediately printed off proxies. I was so excited. I used my Works ink, which I probably shouldn't have, to kind of print off some proxies. And I've done this before in Dragon Ball, but I've never done this in the Lorcana game, and it's already 5-6 sets in. So I was super excited about the potential that Go-Go could bring, both psychologically, and also just the sheer power that it could have, like the ceiling, just being able to potentially reach 4 or 5 lore just by hitting into like a Maui or like a Hiram Flavisham. It was already like something that I wanted to experiment with. So I printed those out. As the weeks came on and the testing came on, I took out the Freds, I took out the Goofies, but Gogo still remained. She's definitely one of my favorite characters released from this set. And I just started grinding on green purple, because purple I really thought was a color that had so much reach because of cards like Goat. And then the addition of like white rose could make it really aggressive against certain decks, and it has a really nice solid stat line. And then I actually kind of missed the genie that everybody was hyping up with. I didn't add that until maybe a couple weeks later, and then realized like, wow, this card is broken. In addition with Go-Go, like these are the two best cards from Azurite Sea that was released. Amber didn't really get much support. Steel didn't get so much support. They had like Calhoun. So it was mostly like a lot of purple and green cards that got some boosts in the latest set. So I barely played Temple before. I wanted to try it out, and I've just been grinding those for the last 2 months. So I've had some success. I haven't really knocked it out of the park because I was still trying to figure out like the steel matchup and how difficult it was. Some people are running purple steel, which is a very difficult matchup. Amber steel aggro is also a very difficult matchup. So with those games, I've been trying to maneuver and try to put in like different cards like Prince Philip and all that. So I was really grinding a lot the last couple months and trying to fit in every single card that those two colors have, to try to find the right ratios against those matchups. And I also even subscribed to Artabax's like Metafy, because I really wanted to get an inside look as at an expert who piloted these colors, and I wanted to further advance my knowledge of the two colors, especially if I was going into nationals. Fast forward to nationals slash continentals. We get there. I'm probably leaving out some sort of detail or whatever, but we get there on Thursday. Just keep in mind this is all accumulation of like just practicing every single week. I was really, really excited to get my chance to get into LCQs. We got in on Thursday. They didn't have early signups, which I think they did in the previous DLCs, where you could come in earlier, which I think they probably should have to mitigate some of the longer lines that Friday. Like Friday, I think we waited maybe like 30-40 minutes, so it wasn't too bad, but we were still in a line that kind of took a little bit of time, and maybe that was part of the reason why the LCQ started a little bit later that day. But I was excited. I mean, I was happy to be there and have the opportunity to play at a high level and the biggest stage of the year, at the Disneyland Hotel, which is also a dream. It's just like being able to be at the actual venue and have the hotel there at the same time. You just go downstairs was pretty cool, and not something that I think a lot of people had the opportunity to. So fast forward to Friday. It was the morning of, we went down, we got some breakfast. Really cool that they had breakfast downstairs, which was right next to the main event where the main hall was. So we got some breakfast and we kind of just waited out. Our pod was basically supposed to start at 9 a.m. Long story short, I'm sure a lot of you people who were there experienced it. It didn't start till like after 11:30. So that was one really, really big thing about the event, was that it just did not start right away. And before I go ahead and go into the details of what happened, I just want to clarify that I'm not here to put like the organization under the bus. I just want people to know what I was going through and what I felt as a competitor, as well as a participant, as well as a trading card player and somebody who's there as a content creator. There were a lot of feelings that I had in the weekend that I don't think a lot of people really could replicate, because I was kind of in between a lot of different things. There's a lot of reasons why I was at the Continentals and not necessarily there for like strictly the competition. So that will also influence my reactions and feelings in this video. But I kind of wanted to capture this so that people can get an idea of what I was going through at that time. And before I go through that, I just want to compliment the stuff that I really, really liked about the event, because I think 95% of the event I was really satisfied with. I know that's a very high percentage, especially reading the title, and for some people already, who knows what's the meaning of this video. And I know I'm kind of dragging it out because this is just off the top of my head, type of thing. But I just wanted to get the good out of the way real quick. Number one being the venue. The venue was beautiful. Like the production of it was just such high quality. Like the lighting inside the whole event was amazing. Like you had some parts that were dark, some parts that were light, like signs that were needed to be showcased, like the banners that were highlighted, like next to the main screen TV was perfect. Felt like a theater quality type of setup. Everything from the decorations, from both outside and inside the main event was flawless. Also, the space was like there was so much space. I mean, the huge event hall, like the layout of it, like on the left side was all the meet and greets. So you had like Mickey Mouse in the corner, you had the VIP little area over there, you had the meet and greets where you could meet the developers, the artists, and such. And then right when you enter, you see like the main screen, like the projection screen where you could watch players play. And then on the half of the right side of the building was like all the tables, and it was huge. There were so many tables. There was like thousands of tables. Probably, I'm over exaggerating, but maybe like 1,500 tables, or I don't even know, maybe around that range. But there was a lot. I mean, there's a lot of game space. And even the upstairs, which had a little bit separate room, which was like a little small inconvenience, because you had to keep going up and down between two little rooms. But I could understand logistically why they had to do that, to separate like the on-demand events and the vendors and stuff versus like the main event. So that was okay. I mean, they had an escalator if you wanted to use that too, but that was really nice. And then also, it was very accommodating. So like the hotel alone, like the Disneyland hotel, was a great location because I think PPG was able to give you guys a discount. I think it was like $330 or something a night, and they're normally like $500. So it was a really great deal. Very worth it, I think, in our opinion, because just the convenience of being able to go upstairs and downstairs at any time just takes a couple minutes. If you forgot something at the hotel room, you got like a charger or something like that, or your water bottle, you can just go in between rounds. So it's really easy. Or if you needed to use bathroom, some people are not. I know I don't really like public restrooms and stuff. So I mean, I could just go back to the hotel. So that's pretty nice. So the convenience of that, and the location of the venue was literally walking distance to downtown Disney. People who don't know what downtown Disney is, it's basically like the entertainment hub where it has all the retail shops, the dining and everything. So if you wanted, like if you had like a break in between your events, like an hour and a half or 2 hours, you could literally just walk 5 minutes, check in through security, and then you could go to like all these restaurants and stuff, or you could shop for whatever you want if you're missing. It was pretty cold that weekend, so if you wanted like a sweater or something like that, or a long sleeve, you can go ahead and buy it. So it was pretty nice. It was very helpful to kind of walk across and maybe get some food if you didn't like the food that was at the hotel. Also, there was lots of staff, both Disneyland hotel staff, Ravensburger employees, as well as like PPG staff. There was plenty of them. So you didn't feel like you were left out. And if you had any questions, you could pretty much turn to anybody with a name tag, and they were able to help you guys out. Also, water stations, like they were everywhere. So like every corner. I think one of the most important things as part of a venue is to have access to like water. Being able to be hydrated throughout the day is essential for just being able to compete competitively in an 8-hour, 10-hour day. So you need to stay hydrated. And they had ice cold water stations everywhere. So I really appreciated that. And I think that helped out in the long run when the day kind of dragged a little bit. And then even like breakfast, lunch, and dinner options, literally the next door. So they had like a little section that had a nice little menu, and it kind of told you guys like what you had, like either waffles or something like that, or some egg sandwiches. They also had for lunch like even like orange chicken, or like some sandwiches and some desserts. So it was really cool that they had access to that, which I really enjoyed. And then even something small, like they even had like wheelchair accessibility. I was playing somebody in draft in the last round, and one of the PPG staffs came up and they said, "Hey, just so you know, in future events, we have wheelchair accessibility on the side if you need it." And I thought that was cool. It's something that not too many tournament organizers provide and think about. So it was very helpful, just overall, very accommodating. And then another thing about the event that was probably one of most favorite was the social aspect of the event. PPG obviously hosted organized the event as well, but Ravensburger also put together like a really great lineup of artists, as well as like the meet and greets and everything. And everybody was so nice. Like, you go to like a tournament and you rarely see, or you go to like any other tournament and you'll have your toxic people every now and then here and there, but for the majority of part, everybody's like mature. They're laughing, they're having a good time, they're saying where you're from, trading. It's just a good time, so you feel like a really good vibe there. Also, another favorite part of mine was meeting fellow content creators as well as professional players. It was just so cool to see people in person. You see a lot of your favorite creators like online, like Rebecca or Lumineers and stuff. So it was really cool to see them in person and interact with them and kind of see what happens behind the scenes and kind of have some conversations to know that, there's people out there that share your, your hobbies and your likes and your struggles of creating, content and everything. So it was really cool to kind of meet them in person and just have a good time, take some pictures and all that. So it was really cool. They're very friendly, and they pretty much helped make the day, or helped make the weekend, magical. So it was really cool to see all that. Also, the artists, like they were all amazing. They're very engaging. They were patient to listen to our stories, and we asked them a lot of questions too as well, like how they started, and they kind of gave us a breakdown of stuff, and they listened to the kind of hobbies and artworks that we do. So that was greatly appreciated. And then the devs, just meeting Ryan Miller. Quick side note: Ryan Miller actually met me. Actually, we were drinking at the Tiki Bar, which was right kind of like in the middle of the Disneyland Hotel. And then we were just talking, me and our group and stuff. And then out of some like nowhere, like literally this like 10-foot guy comes in, and I had to look up right away, and I was like, "There's no way!" I was like, "Ryan Miller," and he goes, "Hey!" Like, he meets like hundreds of people every day. So it was really cool to kind of meet him at a spot that wasn't really Lorcana related. It was pretty much just at a bar, like a hangout place, and it was cool. We were able to talk for a little bit, and he was able to share some of his excitement to the cosplays that me and Sarah did. We were super goofy and Belle, by the way, and it was fun. And then we met Steve Warner, and we had a little bit of conversations about the Filipino community, because we're pretty big on that. And shout outs to Bernice. She's also another great cosplayer who does a lot of really great work and hospitality work to the Philippines. She sent a lot of like cards and promo cards there, and Steve was a big supporter of that. And now that Steve knows that we're Filipino, we're basically cousins. So like stuff like that, like you just don't get that kind of interaction in other card games. Like I'm speaking to a a developer of the game that we've been playing and hyped up for the last couple of years about our cultural heritage. Like who does that? So that was really nice. And then just meeting everybody else, like Shane Hartley and Matthew and some of the other artist devs, and it was just cool to sit down and just meet them and hear their stories and their thought process of stuff. And then also just meeting my fellow subscribers and followers. Like it's such a surreal thing, and something that I never take for granted is just having strangers from all over the country come up to you and say, "Hey, I watch your stuff," or "I follow your content." It really means a lot to me, especially the stuff that I like to do. I love doing deck profiles. I love doing vlogs. So for those who came up, thank you. You guys are awesome. You're the reason why I do this stuff. And you're also the reason why I wanted to share this story, because I felt like you guys could feel for me and maybe other people who are like that. So I know I'm really dragging this story long, and it's already almost 20 minutes, and I appreciate you guys staying. There's going to be like little notes in the bottom where you could kind of skip ahead, but if you hear the story, I promise you, I hope it's a little bit more wholesome and understanding and kind of genuine, because we're all going through this card game, and this could happen to anybody else. So that was all the good stuff. I mean, there are some things sprinkled in between. Obviously, being able to play with my wife also as well is such a huge thing, and our cosplay like design got a lot of people's attention, and that was really fun to do. Take a lot of pictures and interview a lot of people. So yes, there's a lot of stuff that was amazing. So the only bad thing, well, besides the late start, like I mentioned earlier, we didn't start till like 11:30. I think that's a little surprising because a lot of the DLCs, they really were not that late. They started on time, so I think it was a lot of last minute decisions that kind of pushed them back, and maybe some things happened on the Melly app that kind of prevented them from stuff. But here's the main topic, which is basically that they overbooked the pods, and that was in combination of a lot of last minute stuff, I think, because the California wildfires were happening at the same time, literally a couple days before, and I'm sure a lot of people canceled their flights and their events because of the safety and all that, which is totally understandable. So I think there were some spots open, and they emailed everybody out saying that, hey, we might have some spots open. We might upgrade people from a lottery ticket to a LCQ ticket. So if you guys are interested, stay tuned. They'll give you, little directions on how to sign up. And so I think it was a little bit of that kind of pushed this thing to happen, which was very, very strange, very rare, and it was just really shocking. So they overbooked the pods. I've heard a lot of different stories from other people who experienced different things. Like some people had buys, and some people their pods were like overbooked with like people. So all I know is that there's 4 of us that was not able to get into the pod because they overbooked. There was actually a line of like maybe 15 or 20 people that were not assigned a pod. Like when I went onto my Melly, it said that I was like kicked out of the event or something like that, or like I wasn't active. I forgot the exact wording on it, but I went to the judges and they said, "Oh, just keep refreshing. They'll show your pods." So I was like, okay. I kept refreshing. Some people around me, surrounding me, they were able to do that. They were able to be like, "Oh, okay. Well, now I got my number. Now I know where my pod is." But it started narrowing down to like only a handful of people. Like there was probably maybe 15 people, give or take, that was not assigned a pod. So they wanted us to line up, and then they were slowly kind of trying to figure that out. Like I could tell they were very stressed, like kind of they're already starting late. So I could only imagine what they were going through, which I understand. They had to scramble to get people together, and they had to start an event that was almost going to be 3 hours late, and there was just a couple people that they had to figure out what to do with. So there was 15 of us or so waiting, and then a couple people, they were able to figure out which pod to go to. I think some of them were transferred to other pods that had buys. Maybe they played it out. I didn't really know the stories of the other people who were ahead of me, but towards the end of the line, which kind of unfortunate, we were kind of pulled out to the side, and they said that they overbooked the pods and they cannot put us in any pods because it has to be like a 32, just logistics and just being able to have a elimination style event. Like they can't just put us in a pod of 4 or whatever. Like you have to play it out. You have to have that event. And that part kind of shocked us, because we were just like, well, why are we the unlucky ones who originally registered from the beginning and we were guaranteed a spot? Why are we the ones who are knocked out of the pods? And that was the main thing. Like it kind of happened like really, really fast. And we were kind of we weren't sure exactly, I think as a group, how to react right away, because it was just so sudden. It wasn't something that I think we all expected to hear, because we all traveled hours and hours away. We spent a lot of money on the hotel and the airplane tickets. We spent a lot of time to get that lottery to even have a chance to go to nationals, and wait almost 3 hours. And then at the end of all that, you tell us that we're not able to participate because they overbooked. And that's, I know, like very frustrating for most people. especially if you put yourself in that shoe. And I know a lot more people would be very, very frustrated and upset if that happened to them. And I had mixed emotions because I mean I was there for many reasons. Like if I was strictly there as a competitor and nothing else, like I didn't want to do any artist signings, I didn't want to meet and greet, I didn't want to have Mickey Mouse sign my face, stuff like that. I'm trying to make light of the situation here, but if I wasn't there for like all the other social stuff and maybe even like trading or side events, and I was strictly there just to get my Worlds invite, and I was denied because they messed up with the pairings and stuff and messed up by overbooking pods, I would probably let them hear it. And I know a lot of people who knew my story, they were very, very upset, and I could understand them, and I appreciate them for being very angry for me. And for me, I understand that. Like you're traveling, you're spending $1,000 to get here. You're doing all this stuff and time and especially me I've been playtesting like every week, and I've been trying really hard to kind of work and prove myself as a competitor. And for me to come and wait 2 months later for this big event and wait in line for 3 hours for the main event to get started, and for them to tell me that I can't be in it, it's kind of like I really don't know like the words to put it in, because it's just I'm just I have so many mixed emotions. So I should be a lot more frustrated than I am, but because I was there for many reasons, I think that kind of mitigated a lot of my initial reaction. Like when I think about it now, like I'm maybe a little bit more upset because it wasn't right. Like just being able to be there rightfully so and have your spot there be taken by maybe somebody who was signed up last minute and got upgraded their ticket, no offense to them, and have us be bumped out of it. Like I don't think that's fair. I don't think it's right, especially if those people just showed up at the door and said, hey, can I play in the LCQs because there's some spots open, when we were guaranteed the spot to begin with when we won that lottery ticket. So they did compensate us, quote unquote compensate us. I'm not going to go into detail. That's just for the respect of the organizers that pulled us over and explained everything that happened. And I appreciate them for trying their best to remedy it, which I know they knew that there was nothing that could measure up to the chance of being able to qualify for Worlds. Like it was just such a unfortunate event that they couldn't really do much, which I believe. I mean, it's just like, what can you do with if they overbooked a pod? You're just some people are not meant to play maybe or have luck in a gambling situation, and we just got really unlucky. And I'm not like upset, sure, like the compensation was okay, but it doesn't measure to the amount of the opportunity that you get to qualify for Worlds. So at that time it was whatever. I wasn't going to let that ruin my weekend, because I wasn't necessarily there for strictly the LCQs. I was there to meet everybody. I was there to have fun. I was there to have a good time with my wife and my close friends, and just meet everybody and get things signed. And it wasn't the only thing that I was there for. Like if I was there strictly for competition, I would have been super angry. And a lot of my friends told me that, like, I should have been a lot more upset. I should have been a lot more vocal about it. And I think at that moment, I was just so kind of just shocked with how that could be possible, like how that we could be kicked out of a event that we were guaranteed to be in with the lottery system, and spending all that money to get here. Like it was just one of those shocking moments that you just couldn't really react fully at the moment. So, but again, I don't blame the organization for necessarily doing their best to try to remedy it, but I think in the future this probably could have been avoided. And had it been another person outside of me, like I think it would have been way worse. Like it probably would have escalated to the higher ups maybe, because I mean, it's just, when you think about it, it's just really not a good experience when you tell somebody who's spent thousands of dollars to get here, take the time off to request, take the hours to grind their games, only to say that we can't have you in our main event, or we can't have you on our qualifier. So even if you got compensated, whatever, because of that mishap, like, I still think this could have been avoided, and there shouldn't be any reason why they overbooked the pods. So this is something that I think a lot of people will appreciate me at least saying, but I want other people to know that I wasn't necessarily 100% upset, because the saving grace was that there was so many things to do there, and I just, maybe I'm just too nice, but there were so many other things to do there that I just didn't want that to ruin my weekend, because I had a lot of things to look forward to. I know I'm really repeating a lot of the stuff that I'm saying, but it's just, yeah, it's just a certain situation. I know some people will say it's really, really horrible. Like, they would not let this go. And I know a lot of people would not, especially the highly competitive players. But for me, if it wasn't for, like, maybe Ravensburger for throwing all these other separate side events, or at least the opportunity to meet them, and the opportunity to meet, like, other creators and people that follow me, like, I wouldn't have had probably a good time. So I just want to put that out there, just because I feel like my voice needs to be heard on the subject, and I feel like tournament organizers could probably learn from this, because other people, if it was for other people, it could have been way worse than what it is. So I was happy because I was looking forward to meeting everybody. That's really all it went down to. I had a great time in the weekend. I met a lot of really, really cool people from all over, from Canada, from Seattle, from New York. Like, these are people that maybe in the future could be like my closest friends, or like future, best friends in this competitive scene. And that's something that you can't trade for anything. And even though I wasn't able to prove myself, I still had a good time, because my mentality was that I didn't want that to bring me down, even though I just, something really, really unfortunate. So I just hope the other people who are also involved in this also shared a similar feeling as me, because I don't feel like maybe everybody has the initial, I don't know, I just feel like maybe people don't have the courage to kind of speak up about it, because it was just so sudden, and they don't know how to react to this. But I think it's okay for you to share your criticisms towards an organization where you felt like you were done wrong, even if they tried their best to, make it right. So, but yeah, if it wasn't for this weekend, if it wasn't for people like my followers and the content creators and everybody there, Ryan Miller, all the devs and everybody that I met, then it wouldn't be as amazing as it was. So I just want to put out there this, I know this was really huge, but I think it's important for the community to know what happened. And again, I'm not upset at the organization. Things happen, whatever. It's unfortunate that it happened to a select few of us, and I hope it doesn't happen in the future, and I hope this is a learning process for everybody, that certain things maybe could have been avoided and probably worked on in the future, and hopefully they'll get it together in the next Continentals or Worlds or something like that. But I had an amazing time, and I want people to know that, despite me being not included into the LCQs. But who knows? Maybe in the future at Worlds, we could get there if they have a Worlds LCQ. Who knows? I don't even know if they have that, but we're still waiting for Worlds. So by the time this video comes out, maybe they'll announce it. But yeah, I really appreciate those who stuck through this video. It was a very personal one, and I'm not doing too many edits and stuff. So, but thank you guys for watching. If you want to comment and have a conversation about it, feel free. You could always Instagram me and comment below on my YouTube. But other than that, I got a lot of fun things to upload. I got some vlogs coming out. I got some deck profiles. Set champs are here, so we're gonna have a good time. So thank you all for watching. We'll see you in the next video. Aladdin's Castle signing out.